Howdy folks, we're back for another video, and we're reacting to another Reggie video because I enjoy his videos and I really want to react to one of his videos again. So here we are, reacting to one of his videos. I never heard of Barony, don't know what it's about. I see pixels on the screen and a pixelated rat in a thumbnail, but I heard Can I Conquer Hell as a Rat in Barony, and I said yes, let's do it. Embrace the inner Freerin, my little rat. And yes, there is a reason why I said embrace the inner Freerin instead of Doomslayer this time. Anyways, got nothing else for this intro, so we're gonna jump right into the videos. Let's do that now, shall we? Rat meat!
Barony is a game about equality, because it doesn't matter whether you're a goblin merchant or a human wizard. We all look the same after being painfully crushed by a boulder.
True.
This is a first-person RPG roguelike, where you descend floor by floor, acquiring loot and meticulously crafting your build to prepare yourself for the final boss. Giant minotaurs, murderous treasure chests, and even the King of Hell are just some...
The Mimic... And right as I brought up Freerun at the beginning, too, just... There we go.
Of the myriad horrors that await us in these dungeons. Fortunately, we have access to a wide variety of powerful classes to help us navigate these challenges. But what if we didn't? What if instead we were a rat? Starting off hostile to all races, with only one life, unable to use weapons, low health, lower attack, and our only ability being a spell to find the nearest piece of cheese, could we devise a plan to turn this rat into the most powerful being in the universe?
I say yes. We will find a way. I don't know how, or how long it's gonna take, or how much effort, or what it's gonna take. We will find a way to make this rat ascend above hell and then evaporate it entirely, yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video, as we brave 25 life-threatening dungeons in an attempt to defeat Baphomet, the Lord of Demons. But first, I have to tell you something. 11 years ago, I had a mental breakdown that culminated in me declaring war on the United States Navy. I don't really remember what caused it. There was a lot going on at the time. Ebola, didn't really like the Fantastic Four movie.
Don't think anyone did.
Anyway, I kidnapped a bunch of people and held them hostage in international...
I'll say they should have just stuck with the first Fantastic Four.
Waters. United States wasn't too happy about that, so they blew up my boat with a Tomahawk missile.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was the only survivor. My war against the US Navy was short-lived, but a lot of fun.
Normally would.
And I used to miss it, until I found out about the sponsor of today's video, World of Warships.
And
now I can relive my glory days on the high sea.
That was a fun segue into an ad, yeah.
In breathtaking and realistic combat against up to 23 other players. World of Warships is free to play on PC, with constant updates and over 600 intricately modeled aircraft carriers, battleships, cruisers, and destroyers at your disposal. You want to play this game, because on an atomic level, every molecule of your body is an Iowa-class battleship yearning to destroy Imperial Japan. I spoke to the scientist. That's not healthy. In fact, it's probably terminal, so you better hurry up and start playing. But maybe you're not interested in the historical side of things. That's no problem, because the Headless Horseman has just been added to the game, along with his very own custom ship skin. Now, much like me, you can take to the high seas as a revenant of vengeance and strike terror into your enemies' hearts one volley at a time. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description to download World of Warships today, and use promo code HEADLESS for 7 days premium access, 1.5 million credits, 500 doubloons, the Headless Horseman plus skin, and your choice of a free Japanese destroyer, American cruiser, or German battleship. So click that link, but don't do it for me. Do it for your World of Warships anime waifu. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, before
why'd you start off with that? That would have been... Why didn't you start off with showing the World of Warship waifus? You should have started off with that. That would have been much more convincing. And what the hell? Why is there a rat being crucified? Why? Oh my god. Look at it. It's a little baby. It's adorable. You're making it look so sad. It is so sad. Is it missing its... No, I think it's just little arms, but still.
I'm the Rat Messiah and kill Satan. We have to do something even harder. Beating the game normally. You see, for our rat build to work, we need access to the Vampire Shaman, which is unlocked by completing 7 different biomes and defeating the bosses Orpheus and Eridice. This was by far the longest and most excruciating part of the plan. So,
yeah, I bet. That's... Yep, that's... You have to go through so much shit just to unlock what is probably the worst class in this game. And then try to beat it with it, yeah. I don't know how hard this game is. I heard roguelike, so it's probably definitely a challenge. So, yeah, like roguelikes tend to be. No.
I'll give you the highlights.
I say that like I know how roguelikes are. I've only played one roguelike, and it was a Pokemon ROM hack. Well, I guess I technically have those in the gacha games I play too, so yeah.
Goblin Shaman. Congratulations, you are canonically illiterate. Enter the dungeon, beat several people to death with rocks.
Nice.
New biome, full of friendly goblins. Kill them anyway. Eat rotten food and go blind as a result. Murder an innocent man to steal his backpack.
Nice.
You are now a wanted criminal.
Yay.
Avoid legal persecution by using an amulet of sex change to cut off your genitals and become a legally new person. Reattach them later with another amulet.
I'm good.
Now you've got the backpack and your dick. Next biome, populated by bug men. Become an exterminator. Recruit a psychopathic man named the Potato Kid. He dies almost instantly. Bully short people and get chased out of the level by their dommy mommy. First boss, turn into a troll and carefully lobotomize him with a closed fist. Successfully kill this all-powerful wizard and then promptly lose a fight against Derek the cheeseburger salesman.
Derek?
Biome, it's full of Irish immigrants and...
Okay.
You're starving to death. Take a moment to appreciate the gameplay of being shanked by dozens of gnomes. Then proceed to the cockatrices.
You know, I started thinking of like prison stabbings with the moment he brought up like gnomes with shanks. I'm just like, you know, you know what? I think those little midgets are way too overconfident, and they need to be put in their place. I think they are, and I think we need to grab all of them and put them in a pit with a rabies-infested elephant that is pissed off at everything. Can elephants get rabies? If it can't, we'll find a way. We'll find a way. If we're gonna find a way to make a rat conquer hell in this video, we'll find a way to infect an elephant with rabies to kill a bunch of gnomes. Okay, we're getting back into this. I don't know what's going through my head. Absolute insanity, that's what.
You should not have come to the cockatrice's lair. Final boss fight. You are not prepared. All of your teammates die within 30 seconds, and you spend the next 20 minutes accidentally running into cleverly placed pools of lava. Luckily, your enemies were nice enough to put pools of water right next to the pools of lava. The fight has been going on for 30 minutes, and you're about to drop dead from hunger. Gamble everything on one last attack. You get unbelievably lucky and kill the boss. Congratulations, you are now a Bayou Baron. Receive some cutscene about how you're the new king, and it definitely won't turn into an evil tyrant like those last guys. Main menu. Alright, finally we've unlocked the Vampire Shaman. Now we can begin breaking the game as a rat. But first, some ground rules. The restrictions of this challenge mean that we are only allowed to interact with the outside world as a rat. However, we can interact with our inventory as a vampire.
You ever seen Howie Mandel's penis?
This mostly allows us to do things like equip armor, read books, and brew potions. But apart from that, it's all rat, all the time. So let's get started. We begin by creating our character and loading into the first floor. Gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Rat Meat. If you want this little guy to kill Satan, he's going to need...
The moment I see Rat Meat, I think of the scene from Nemo, you know, shark bait, ooh ah. Just thought of that. Rat Meat, ooh ah, or something. Yeah, I don't know. I just would have thought of.
To be fairly high level, and the best way to achieve that is by maxing out his skills. There are 16 in total, ranging from swimming to spellcasting. However, since we are a rodent, we won't be able to level up trading or any of the weapon skills, which puts us at a major disadvantage. But we are also a vampire, which gives us access to one game-breaking ability. This little fella right here. Levitate is among the cheapest spells in the game, which means spamming it is a viable way to level up your magic and casting skills. However, you will eventually run out of mana. Unless you're a shaman, because the shaman starts with a voodoo face mask, which gives him +1 mana regen while shapeshifted. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So by turning into a
play with small numbers still mean a lot. Gotcha.
Rat and casting Levitate 3,000 times, we should be able to max out 2 of the most important skills in the game on the very first floor. Now listen, I know what you want. I understand the male fantasy. Big muscles, cool sunglasses, driving fast cars.
None of that. It's just absolute chaos, okay? Just, that's what I want. Absolute chaos. None of this.
And crashing into her retirement home.
There you go.
See,
there you go. Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Hour? Simple stuff, really. But the male fantasy does not include sitting at your desk for 2 hours and casting Levitate 3,000 times. Therefore...
Yeah, I was about to say I'd get like an auto thingy for that instead of doing that for 2 hours. Like, just... Because, like, no. No, I'm not doing that. But yeah, this is the way.
Or I recommend
just get an auto thingy, yeah.
downloading Auto Hotkey and running an automated spellcasting script. Mine's in the description if you're curious. So simply assume rat form, start the script, and slowly become the most powerful rodent of all time. This process takes a while, so I decided to kill the time by taking a normal shower by myself, washing the dishes,
yeah, I'd literally do anything while that's going on for the next 2 hours. Just let it sit and run, do whatever. Yeah.
Engaging in thought-provoking debates with the fellas down at the homeless shelter, and then chasing women through public parks. This gets me back home with just enough time for another shower before returning to the computer. Briefly looking over our stats, the plan appears to have worked. Casting and magic are nearly maxed out. The only problem is we're kind of starving to death. So it's time to enter the dungeon in search of food. On the topic of food, the vampire shaman is again very broken. Because much like Todd Howard, the vampire requires a constant supply of human blood. The only difference is we use blood to satiate our hunger.
I thought he was gonna say he requires a booster seat because of his short ass height, but that works too, I guess.
Whereas Todd Howard just doesn't want other people to have it. Anyway, blood is our primary food source. However, by transforming to a rat, we are also able to eat conventional types of food.
Why out in public? Stop. Just stop. Not in public. Oh my god. You know, I'm actually curious. Was that in LA? Was like go back. Hold on. I don't know.
By transforming to a rat, we are also able
to... You know, this is probably like some major shitty city or something. Like, honestly, that's probably where this is.
The combination...
I don't know where exactly, but it's probably somewhere in some shitty city like that, yeah. Maybe New York, too. Maybe. I don't know. But I can already tell that footage right there happened in a city where that shit like that is probably just normal now.
Of these two options means we're essentially playing with 200% food abundance, which admittedly is a little hard to appreciate as I starve to death in this dungeon. I start my food quest by running around the map and recruiting a small posse of rodents. Because worst case scenario, we can cannibalize our fellow rat brethren.
Okay, never mind. No rat gang. No rat gang. I thought, okay. That we were starting an army here. Nope. They were here for food. They are not friend or family. They are food. Damn.
End up being necessary, since after only 5 minutes we hit a major jackpot. Not only did we find 2 treasure chests full of food, but one of them also contained a chef's hat. In addition to making us look like a beloved Disney character, this hat also increases food nutrition by 20% and buffs the drop rate. With a food supply secured, I made my way back to a safe room and resumed the rat maxing. After levitating about 75 more times, we had capped out our casting ability. This is where things get nutty. The reward for becoming a legendary caster is that you learn a 0-mana version of the spell Force Bolt. This is usually unlocked around floor 15 or maybe 20, so having access to it on floor 1 is questionably balanced. Furthermore, we can use it to level up the rest of our magic skill. Doing this unlocked the spell Dominate, which allows us to mind control enemies if they're weak enough. If they're not weak enough, it hurts a lot. It's like Pokemon, but if you gauge the health bar wrong, Ash Ketchum dies in a violent explosion. With that taken care of, I think we're ready to start the event.
I don't think that's how that works, but you know what? We'll go with it, okay? We'll go with it.
I began rapidly scurrying around the map, picking up every item I could find, the vast majority of which is complete garbage. But we're getting appraisal experience from identifying it. I know an entire stat based around item identification doesn't seem cool or exciting, but you'll appreciate it when it saves you from accidentally equipping cursed items, such as Amulet of Strangulation or Sweatpants of Circumcision. Truly, not all heroes wear capes. Apart from that, I also started my cult of personality by mind-controlling a few people and forcing them to beat each other to death. This levels up our leadership skill, and with enough practice, we can even increase our max follower count. But for the time being, healing potions are hard to come by, so don't get too attached. After scouring the entire floor of all valuable items and signs of life, I reviewed my inventory. We've got plenty of food, a portable alchemy station, and a ring of might, which gives us, a 1-pound rat, enough strength to effortlessly push a 7,000-pound boulder across the map.
The rat is
yoked. Why does that matter? Well, allow me to explain. In Chapter 100 of Baki Do, Yujiro Hama raped Williams while maintaining his heterosexuality. This...
Well, that was out of nowhere. Huh? Why? What? Did not expect nor need to hear that while watching this, but okay.
Is a power scaling feat that informs us how strong a character is. For example, if I could successfully beat the homosexual allegations, then internet autists would have no choice but to scale me at a multiversal level. But for right now, we're focusing on rat meat, and him pushing an entire boulder easily qualifies him as a small building level superhuman. Not bad for floor 1. Now let's head to the next level. In case you were concerned that things were getting too easy, don't worry. Floor 2 has got you covered, because this symbol right here indicates that within 5 minutes, a gigantic unstoppable minotaur is going to spawn onto the map, hunt us down, and curb stomp us back to spawn. I don't think I can handle levitating 5,000 times again, so we can't let that happen. I begin frantically searching for an escape. Fortunately, I managed to kill an Italian man and use his Daedalus shrine to reveal the exit, which was when I got a new notification. The Zap Brigade has spawned into the map. I know the Zap Brigade sounds jovial and maybe even heroic, but that's just a name. It's like if the Gestapo started calling themselves the Bubblegum Army. It doesn't really make you feel any better when they're pulling your fingernails out. So the good news is, we don't have to worry about the Minotaur anymore, because the Zap Brigade has executed him by firing squad. The bad news is the Zap Brigade is a group of racial purists who spawned onto the map to perform a large-scale ethnic cleansing on anything that's not human. And my friends, we are definitely not human. 1 or 2 shots from their lightning staff, and our rat is cooked. They're currently stalking their way across the map, actively looking for us. But what they don't know is I'm actively looking for them, because I want their equipment. Killing them takes forever due to their amulets of magic reflection, but slowly, over the course of 30 minutes, I used my superior rat intellect to separate them and wear them down. After cleaning off the blood stains, we've now got some high-level armor for us to proceed to the next floor. This would be floor 3, but if you enjoy psychological torment as much as I do, then I recommend flipping these levers and going to the secret level, the gnomish mines. My therapist keeps telling me George Droid isn't real, and he can't hurt me, but I know better. I've seen the schematics. Similarly, Barony developers will try to convince you that the gnomish mines aren't that bad. I mean, look at this well-lit room with all kinds of golden fountains, and the exit is right there. This is terrific, but let me tell you something. They ran out of room in hell a long time ago, and now they're putting all the gnomes here. Outside of these doors is a winding maze.
So I can already tell that these things are about to be evil as shit. Oh boy.
To the brim with trolls, lightning staff gnomes, and ornery child miners that want nothing more than to excavate the side of your head. Around every corner, there is a 25% chance of getting smoked in the face with a lightning bolt, and there's like 600 corners, which is why I chose to mind control the gnomes and have them lead the way. After carefully and meticulously exterminating 70% of the gnome population, I had gained several levels and become relatively powerful. By using bloodletting, we can now two-shot most gnomes and farm them for vials of blood. Now, I'm not sure what's more terrifying, being stalked through a mine shaft by a bloodthirsty magical rat, or realizing it's actually just a naked man in a chef's hat. But either way, we're not here just to terrorize the gnomes.
I think both can be just equally as terrifying, probably.
Also here for the Sphinx's Casque, an artifact helmet of extreme value to spellcasters. It gives 3 armor and 8 intellect. For reference, +8 intelligence is a massive difference. Consider it to be the difference between 2 people. One is a normal man who works a job at the hot dog factory and has a wife and kids. The other is a deranged lunatic who spends his free time staring into the sun and taping dead rats to his ceiling. I'm not sure who the intelligent one is, but they're pretty fucking different. Point is, this helmet is going to make our spells do a lot more damage.
So what was the point of bringing that up? We just having an autistic trip out, I guess? Okay.
There are 2 issues. First, the treasure room is locked behind a series of impenetrable gates, and second, it's guarded by about a dozen spellcasting traps. Solving problem number 1, the switch to open the gate is located inside this merchant shop. I lure the shopkeeper out of his store, double back, flip the switch, and make my escape. This made me a wanted criminal according to the Merchant's Guild, but it's worth noting that Reggie the Rat is a legally distinct person from Reggie the Vampire, so he's not wanted. Don't worry though, the Merchant's Guild also wants to lynch Reggie the Vampire, but it's just because they're racist, not because he's a criminal. Now with the treasure room open, we have 2 options. Option 1, I carefully examine the...
Is this endless music that you're playing? Probably.
room from multiple angles and learn the timing of each trap to formulate a safe plan of approach. Or option 2, I cast a speed buff and run in while pissing my pants. Obviously, I chose the latter.
Fair enough.
Miraculously,
get in, get out.
And we secured the helmet. This is a huge power spike for all of rat kind. Now, let's get out of this absolute dump. Floors 3 and 4 were relatively uneventful. However, it's worth noting that usually by this point, you're level 5 or maybe 6. We are level 13. Also, we have so much random shit in our inventory that we actually weigh 860 pounds. I cannot fathom how embarrassing it must be to get mind-controlled by a morbidly obese rat dragging itself across the floor. But clearly, it's not embarrassing enough to make a difference. Interesting loot on these floors included an amulet of strangulation, which isn't useful to us, but there is actually a BDSM Gimp class in the game, which regenerates its mana through autoerotic self-asphyxiation, so we'll leave this here for them. Instead, we're going to take this Ring of Warning. By equipping it, we basically unlock wall hacks, because all enemies on the level are now marked as pink dots on our minimap. Slowly but surely, we are approaching divinity. Now, let's move on to the next biome, the swamp.
Alright. Gotta find
The
Shrek in here.
swamp is best known for its gangs of goblin criminals that will stab you to death at a moment's notice. The closest real-life equivalent to this would be going to a Brazilian favela and telling the local drug dealer that his native language is just gay Spanish. This is a high-level engagement farming technique, assuming you can moderate the casual...
What the hell? Go back. What are all these comments? Go back. The most unrealistic part about the Brazil bit is the existence of a library. What? As a Brazilian, I can't say for sure if Reggie intentionally implied that people in Brazil speak Spanish instead of Portuguese for the bit, or he truly doesn't know the difference. In Brazil, we speak Portuguese, not Spanish. Why did you kill those innocent children? What is even going... Okay.
Casual racism. To my Brazilian viewers, I support you and concede that Brazilian Portuguese is fundamentally superior to Portugal Portuguese. Together, we can defeat the colonial pig dogs. But I digress. The real value in the swamps doesn't come from chewing goblins to death with my big dumb rat teeth. It comes from this. A pool of water. On one of the earlier floors, I stole an amulet of Olympic swimming from a gnome. At the time, I just did it because the idea of a gnome swimming as fast as a shark creeped me out. But now, we can use it to our advantage. By equipping the amulet and casting a speed buff, we can blast through the water like a torpedo and power level our swimming in the process. This process takes a while, and you have to be careful not to shapeshift back into a vampire, because, and there's no good way of putting this, you will physically dissolve. Luckily, we didn't dissolve, and after 45 minutes of high-speed training, we achieved 100 swimming, which now lets us walk not only on water, but also lava. That's right, Rat Jesus is becoming a thing, and
apparently
you can't stop it. My first order of business as a religious icon was to wage a holy war against the Merchants Guild. For far too long, they have persecuted us for our beliefs, and it ends here. I went to a jewelry store and lured the shopkeeper out into a wooded area, at which point I began frantically darting between the trees while blasting him with high-level magic. Over time, I was able to slowly whittle down his health bar until he was low enough for me to finish him off with my mouth. This was more painful and less homosexual than it sounds. While picking through the shopkeeper's personal effects, I came across a ring of invisibility. Oh yeah, Rat Jesus the serial killer is now invisible. This is big. Arriving on floor 7, I waste no time destroying the non-believers, which it turns out is quite easy to do when you have the bite force of a crocodile and your enemies can't see you. First major piece of loot we found was a ring of slow digestion. Combining this with our chef's hat won't stop world hunger, but it'll stop mine. Admittedly, the value of an anti-starvation build is a bit questionable when we have 30 vials of blood and 150 pounds of chicken legs in our inventory. To help offset that weight, I also found a pair of metal boots that weigh -40 pounds. I was trying to understand that when suddenly I was ambushed by the Minotaur, and this time there's no ethno-fascists here to save us. But we're not the same rat we were 6 floors ago, so I decided to fight the Minotaur in a David versus Goliath-esque battle. By continually refreshing my Adderall speed buff, I was able to effortlessly run laps around the map, stopping every so often to pelt him with force bolts. To motivate my survival instincts, I also used a mental exercise where I pretended that I was a female Twitch streamer, and the Minotaur was my #1 fan. I swear to God, that actually made me run faster. Once I started mixing in some slowing spells, it was all over. Little known fact here, but
I mean... Okay. Also, what did I pause on here?
Goliath, David chopped his head off and carried it back home. He was kind of a freak like that. Anyway, I couldn't find the Minotaur's head, so I just picked up his flawless emerald. This is very valuable, but money is a construct of the Merchant's Guild, and we have no need for such vices. So I threw it into the chasm and moved on to floor 8. Seemingly not content with dying once, the Minotaur came back again on floor 8, but he did even worse this time, because me and the boys kicked the ever-living shit out of him.
Nice.
After that, I spent some time using my ring of invisibility to farm backstabs on the local NPCs, which power leveled our stealth. Once we get it maxed out, we'll be able to turn invisible even without the ring. Anyway, I ran out of people to stab, so I decided to head to the secret level, nearly getting crushed by several boulders in the process. Heading through the portal, we arrive at the haunted castle. It's just us and our goblin companion named Abdul. Abdul will not be surviving this part, because the haunted castle is like a schizophrenic homeless man on the sidewalk. Harmless when ignored, but once you interact with it, you have put everyone's life in immense danger.
Yeah, chaos.
Luckily for us, I have a plan. I explore the outskirts of the castle, making sure to ignore the 60 tombstones all around it, before proceeding inside to find some very nice loot. These legendary boots give us a huge armor buff as well as more wall hacks. However, by touching them, I have awakened the sleeping beast. Specifically, all 60 of those tombstones out front, they just spawned super zombies, and now they're coming to kill us. Rushing outside, I waste no time casting the levitate spell and walking off the edge of a cliff. As long as we can channel this, they can't get us. Furthermore, our melee range is about 10% longer than theirs. So I spent the next 30 minutes beating every single zombie to death with my bare hands, taking breaks every so often to drip feed myself YouTube slop while I regenerate mana. This power leveled our unarmed skill from 25 to 64. With all of the zombies pummeled into a puree, I went back into the castle to gather the rest of the loot. Side note here, but the castle has plumbing, which you can use to fill up glass bottles with clean water. Clean water which can then be used with your alembic to duplicate potions and level up your alchemy skill. After a bit of that, it was time to move on. Floor 9 was relatively uneventful. I spent 20 minutes harassing slime molds to max our stealth, killed another shopkeeper because I liked his fit, and then moved on to the next biome, the Sand Labyrinth. Neither a labyrinth nor particularly sandy, this place is better known for making me racist against lava and housing an entire bug society. This whole
not fair.
The place is swarming with scarabs, scorpions, and insectoid warriors. Luckily, we've got about 40 vials of blood, so I was able to take my time carefully enslaving an army of bugmen to do my bidding. Now, in case you're not thrilled by the idea of being drafted into my 1940s-esque chain gang...
Well, what are they gonna do about it? They're being mind-controlled. They can't complain. They obey, and nothing else.
Humbly invite you to consider...
No threat needed.
...the alternative.
Wait, the what?
1940s-esque chain gang, I humbly invite you to consider the alternative. Because I'm running around the map at 70 kilometers an hour, ripping everyone else apart limb from limb. We're on floor 13 now, which puts us at about the halfway point to reaching hell and killing the devil. Also, Rat Jesus just unlocked his first major miracle, because this spellbook gives us access to some basic healing for ourselves and our followers. This is just like in the comic. Shortly after finding the book, I also found a pair of golden Roman laurels, at which point my eyes widened as I entered the mind state of a man who believes the ghost of John Lennon is attempting to communicate with him through his Alpha-Getty, because there's no way this was a coincidence. You see, 13 years ago, I got banned from my local church for asking the priest to power scale Jesus. Long story short, one of Jesus's main anti-feats was...
He's above all. Yeah.
Was getting arrested by a bunch of illiterate Romans. Illiterate Romans, Roman laurels, obvious really. Anyway, I believe the game wants us to rectify that in our build by becoming Roman. Or, I need to refill my medication. Either way, I'm wearing the laurels. And they provide a massive 50% XP buff to our followers.
I'd say maybe take the meds, but at the same time, I'm not too sure. I don't know.
Combined with our newfound healing abilities will allow us to power level them very easily. Moving on to floor 14, I used the power of leadership to convert all sentient life into funny numbers on my stat sheet. Also, I found a very rare single-use amulet of life saving, which allows us to resurrect ourselves if we die, thereby completing our Son of God cosplay. Now we can proceed to the next biome, the ruins. The easiest way to explain this biome is with a story. 2 years ago, I was stopped on the street by a homeless man who almost certainly had hepatitis. He looked deeply into my eyes and said the following: I haven't achieved sexual release in 13 years.
And you're gonna wait another 13.
Ready to now. That was the most terrified I have ever been prior to unlocking the ruins.
Valid reason to be terrified.
As this entire godforsaken biome is swarming with militant gnomes that spend their entire time covering every square inch of the map with improvised traps. If you're lucky, you'll step on a bear trap or maybe an IED, but the less fortunate among us may fall victim to their rohypnol sleeping traps that quickly sedate you into unconsciousness, at which point your ass may as well be a gnomish waffle head, because 10 to 20 of them are going to pile into it and be violent. Now, I don't know about you, but compared to getting gangbanged by gnomes, the idea of catching hepatitis from a street vagrant is starting to sound pretty good. But we're here now, and that guy's probably at a psych ward, so let's just get through this. I put the boys to work thinning out the gnome population. This generally worked well, but every so often we'd have some friendly fire. The issue with that is that friendly AI is programmed to hit back whoever attacked it, and the other AI is programmed to do the same. So any instance of friendly fire automatically initiates a positive feedback loop of reciprocated violence until someone is dead. Still levels up my leadership, though. Anyway, not a huge fan of the ruins.
So yeah, we're gonna intentionally cause chaos, and somehow this will boost my approval ratings. Lovely.
I made my way to the next secret level, the Mystic Library. This is a magical archive containing some of the strongest items in the game. Like many areas in Barony, it is also a very chill place if you're human. To everyone else, it may as well be Rwanda in 1994. That being said, we wasted no time subduing the Hutu librarians and stealing all of their relics. Mostly, it was a bunch of vaguely useful items, until I came across this chest right here. Contained within it was the final piece of our puzzle, the Vampire Doublet. This item disables passive health regeneration, but maxes mana regeneration. Combined with our Shaman Mask, we're now generating mana 1200% faster than normal, which means we don't have to settle for free Force Bolts anymore. Now we can start smacking our enemies with such exciting spells as Invert Penis and Summon Foot Fetishist. With that, myself, Lesser Insectoid, Troll, and Felicia all proceeded to floor 17, where we were immediately mobbed by a gang of street gnomes. In this moment, I want nothing more than the sweet release of death, but I must live on to make the gnomes' lives worse. The good news is that all of this fighting has increased our leadership.
We must live on to give the gnomes the most painful genocide ever.
And we can now field 8 followers at a time. Battling our way to floor 18, we hear cries of anguish in the distance, which means there's either an Amazon warehouse on this level, or we're getting close to hell. After killing a few demons,
I mean, if that's just both. The answer is both. I mean, not much of a difference between either of those, you know. Really not. No.
Suspicions were confirmed. This is our crossroads. If we go through the normal exit, we proceed toward Baron Herx, but if we take the secret exit, we go to the underworld, which has a pleasant but surprising lack of gnomes. So you better believe I dove into this exit with the same enthusiasm as a burning man jumping into a lake of fire extinguishers. We are now in the underworld, a dark and insidious place teeming with nauseating creatures of the night. Also, it's not wheelchair accessible. In fact, it's not accessible at all. It's mostly just empty space. And since we're the only levitating rat on this team, we'll be doing most of this by ourselves. I flew around the first level, killing every zombie and imp I could find. At this point, we're very over-leveled and we have best-in-slot equipment, so the killing is just for fun. Eventually, I decided to head back to the exit, which actually just takes you deeper into the underworld. This is where most people go, oh no, I'm stuck in eternal damnation. How can I escape? But those people are weak-minded. Hell is stuck with us, and we're going to keep killing Hollywood elites until we get to the final boss. However, I will admit it is a bit dangerous, because on this floor you start running into shades. These ethereal entities copy your character, equipment, and skills. Except when they copied me, they didn't stay in rat form. So I had to fight a Chad version of myself wielding the legendary spear Gungnir. Shit sucked. After sexually dominating several clones of myself, I proceeded
they basically just copied your flow, you copied everything you had, and said, I'm gonna amplify it too. Jesus, it's like John.
Portal. Thank God, we're finally in hell. This isn't how most YouTubers end up here, but it works for me. The very first thing I did in hell was find the Minotaur and kill him all over again. You really thought you could escape me just by going to another plane of existence? You absolute buffoon.
Nope, he's here to follow him.
I also found the Zap Brigade. And
he's here to follow the Minotaur to the gates of hell, literally.
Engaged in a large-scale conflict with them. Unfortunately, they actually smoked me with a lightning bolt and killed me on the spot. However, our amulet of life-saving kicked in, and we were resurrected to continue our holy mission.
Yeah, because doesn't he have to start over all the way at the beginning if he dies? Thank God that happened, because Jesus.
The Messiah has returned.
And you know what? I'm willing to bet he did this like a few times maybe, so I'm curious. How many times did he die trying to make this? I'm curious.
That was kind of a one-time thing, so we'll have to be more careful. Anyway, I recruited several demons, and we started working our way through hell floor by floor. My next near-death experience occurred when I got trapped in this courtyard with a rapidly spawning group of hostile goat men. If we weren't invisible right now, we would certainly be dead. Wasn't sure how to get out of this one, to be honest, until I realized we have max leadership, which allows us to recruit goat men. So while invisible, I walked up to the goats, covertly recruited them onto my team, and convinced them to kill all of their friends. From our perspective, this made perfect sense, but to everyone else, this must have appeared as some kind of mass psychotic event. After that, the only thing left was to assault the Cathedral of Sin, so we may as well min-max the rest of our stats before going in. All that was left was alchemy, so I leveled it up by opening my inventory and drinking an exciting mixture of random chemicals and vials of acid. Non-chemists will see you power leveling your alchemy by drinking VCR head cleaner and say, he can't afford water. Now prepared for our destiny, I stormed the cathedral, mind-controlled the priest, and flipped several levers to open a portal to Mega Hell. Through here is Baphomet, who will not hesitate to kill us on the spot. So I sorted out my inventory, optimized the toolbars, and then dropped 10,000 gold to make us 100 pounds lighter. It's time for rat meat to become a legend. Arriving through the portal, we are immediately greeted by several pools of lava and the King of Hell. But for some reason, our first thought is, the craftsmanship on these walls is immaculate. The fight started with us getting mobbed by several demons, while Baphomet attempted pest control via fireball. We handled this part fairly well, but then he swapped to high-level boulder spam, which resulted in about 50% casualties among our followers. The good news is we were absolutely chunking him whenever he'd pop up, and our amulet was reflecting most of his spells. Eventually, myself and two of our imps cornered Baphomet and mag-dumped him down to 10% health, at which point we finished him off by biting him to death. Baphomet sunk into the lava, and the game rewarded us by making me fight 2 minotaurs at the same time. Actually, not as bad as it sounds. With the primeval defeat,
you just killed the King of Hell, so imagine why does it? Okay, I don't know. Regardless, rat meat has become a legend. He has conquered hell.
And the entire Minotaur bloodline extinct, I fought my way to the exit portal and returned to the land of the living, at which point we got an epilogue explaining that we have defeated the devil and no mortal or immortal can challenge our power. For a rat, I'd say that's pretty damn good. So there you have it. We started off as a lowly rodent, and through a series of contrivances, we became a god. I'd like to thank the Minotaur for being such a good sport, this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching. Before I go, don't forget to download World of Warships using the link in the comments and use promo code HEADLESS to receive in-game currency, free ships, and a horseman with no head. Alright, that's all for now. See you later.
That was a good video. I enjoyed that. Might even give the game Barony a try at some point too. Possibly, Alright, I'm gonna go into the video now. So if you enjoyed it, check out the original. There'll be a link in the description below. Go check out Reggie for making this. He'll be linked down below as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.